Shooting air rifles accurately takes a lot of practice, and what we're going to do today is show you our top 4 tips for improving that accuracy. Today I'm joined by Lee, and what he's going to be doing is showing me and yourselves some of these tips. So the first one we're going to look at is stance. Stance is a really important part, and I'll let Lee explain.
You need to make sure you're steady with this gun. Steady you are, the more accurate you're going to be. So if you want to get your body nice and firm, feet spread apart, if you want to, lean on the counter, put your elbow on the counter as extra support. You're going to hold onto the gun and you're going to pull the butt of the gun into your shoulder. You're going to pull it back, and that's going to make it really secure inside here.
One thing I've noticed is we have these little sandbags. When would you use these and why?
Those are cheap bags.
Yeah.
Sometimes you use the sandbags. If you can hold the rifle steady, it's a really good thing to learn if you can do that. If you struggle with that, or sometimes if you want to be a little bit more accurate, maybe using the sandbag is an option. Put the wooden part of the gun on the sandbag. For that one, you need to crouch down a little bit, and the front of the gun is then supported. So you've only got one part of the gun, just the back end, that has that manoeuvring, and you're lifting it up and down.
Okay, cool, yeah. Like, so for me, I found using that actually gets my body into a more awkward position where I'm feeling a bit hunched and I don't feel like I can be as stable.
I find the same, because I'm reasonably tall, I find like I'm crouching down. It is possible to put 2 sandbags on, but the higher you make that pile, the more unstable it's going to become again. If you really want to test yourself at any point, try and hold a gun completely freestyle. You're not touching anything. What you'll find is when you look at the end of that gun, it's wobbling all over the place.
So the next thing really is sights. Like, how do you actually go about aiming? I know there's a few different types of ways to aim depending on the setup you have on your rifle. We happen to have scopes, so how would you go about aiming on the scope?
How to use a scope is quite important. You want to make sure you're looking through the sweet spot of this scope. Ideally, your eye needs to be about 1.5 inches away from the scope. You never put your eye anywhere near it. You're going to look through, and what you'll find is the crosshair on the end of the rifle. You're looking for a perfect circle. If that circle has a lot of black around it, or is turned into an ellipse, it means your eye isn't looking directly down that scope. And the chances are then you're not going to be shooting in a straight line. One other point when you're looking through a scope, if you're right-eyed, you're looking through the scope, you close your left eye. If you're using the scope with your left hand, looking through your left eye, you close your right eye. So you're going to pull it back, look for the crosshair, hold that crosshair on what you're going to shoot. That should line up your target.
So you've got your stance, you've got your sights on the target. What do you need to do with your breath to make sure that you don't end up veering off when you take the shot?
You've got to learn to control your breathing to be more accurate. What you'll find you can do is if you breathe in and then breathe out, and halfway through breathing out, just stop, exhale, hold it there, and that's the point you're going to squeeze the trigger. That's going to allow your body to not be moving. If you're taking heavy breaths, if you're breathing in and out really fast, that gun is going to move all the time.
What's the best way to pull that trigger?
You gently pull the trigger back. A lot of people, when they try to shoot, will almost try to squeeze the trigger hard, and it's almost snapping it. That then is introducing movement back into that gun again. So you've got to be very gentle with the trigger. You've controlled your breath. You're literally going to pull back nice and gently. You'll feel the trigger release, and that's it. You don't need to start pulling it back hard or snapping it back.
So there we go, that's our top 4 tips for air rifles and how you can go about improving your accuracy. Now, knowing all of this information is all well and good, but unless you're out there practicing, you're not actually going to improve. So as you can see, I definitely have a lot more practicing to do, but for the grand scheme of things, I improved quite a lot just using those few tips.